Halloween season is here again, and you may have heard a new zombie-themed animated series has debuted on Disney Plus with the very clever title of Zombies the Reanimated series. So with that in mind, and with Halloween right around the corner, I decided to delve deeper into the various zombie outbreaks seen in Saturday morning cartoons over the years, and put together a list of recommended viewing on the topic of the undead, who have been reanimated in more ways than one. In the world of animation, zombies are often divided into different categories, so in today's video we will revise what Saturday morning cartoons taught us about necromancy to separate the brainwashed from the undead. You're watching Toon Raider, and it's time to grab your shovel, because today we are digging deep to unearth some of the most memorable reanimated zombies and to relive the gravest zombie outbreaks in Saturday morning cartoons. A common trope in Saturday morning cartoons was to have characters be brainwashed and turned into mindless zombies, although still alive. Notable examples of this include the Black Star episode The Zombie Master, which saw Black Star having to rescue his friends whose souls had been imprisoned and had been turned into mindless zombies by Shouldermar, ruler of Marikand, a kingdom of zombies. Centurions featured a similar concept in their episode Zombie Master, which saw the Centurions having to rescue an entire town of people who have been enslaved by the Zombie Master, who is in league with the Centurions' nemesis Terror, and who plans on converting the world president and his entire government into mindless zombies. The final episode of Count Duckula was entitled The Zombie Awakes, and saw Dr. Quackbrain brainwashing Duckula and his entourage and luring them to his castle where they are to be part of a grisly experiment. And finally, the Archie's Weird Mysteries episode Zombies of Love featured Veronica using a magic potion given to her by the witch Lucinda to put a spell on Archie and inadvertently all her friends and convert them into brainwashed zombies who are obsessed with her. Zombies may not have been as popular in Saturday morning cartoons compared to other classic monster characters like Dracula, witches, and Frankenstein's monster. But their few appearances were always memorable, and ranged from quirky and light-hearted to genuinely sinister and terrifying. The 1996 segment of the Animaniacs, entitled Night of the Living Buttons, followed Mandy as she follows a frog into an unseasonably foggy graveyard, just in time for the dead to rise from their graves and start chasing after the oblivious young girl and her dog, Buttons, who tries his best to keep the waking zombies at bay and who is forced to endure the horrors of the cemetery firsthand. The zombie horde, which now include an undead Yakko, Wacko and Dot, follow the two into an abandoned old house where Buttons is forced to open a handy zombie emergency kit, at which point he and the zombies break into a dance routine parodying Michael Jackson's Thriller video, which allows Buttons to lead them away and seal them in a tomb. In yet another twist, the frog Mandy was chasing turns out to be Michigan J. Frog, who was the star of the classic 1955 Merry Melody short One Froggy Evening. The angry Beavers had their own grisly encounter with a voodoo witch and her zombie minions in the episode Open Wide for Zombies. After the Beavers' house is flooded, the two are swept downstream where they come across a spooky old house in the middle of a dark swamp and are introduced to the owner of the house, Edgar the Swamp Witch, who is using voodoo magic to control a host of zombies for her own entertainment, but is still missing a vital ingredient. Norbert tries to persuade a skeptical Daggett that the zombies are harmless, but both panic as they soon realize that Edgar intends to use their beaver teeth as the final ingredient of her voodoo ritual, and the two do their best to escape the clutches of the Swamp Witch and her zombie goons. Brown Evil was a two-part episode of the grim adventures of Billy and Mandy, in which Billy decides to bake chocolate brownies and uses evil powder from Grimm's old trunk instead of salt. The resultant stench from the brownies spreads throughout the world and starts resurrecting dead people, animals, and even food as zombies, who make their way to Billy's house. Billy teams up with Hoss Delgado, a spectral exterminator, to destroy all the zombies that congregate outside the house, but the zombies only reassemble into one bigger zombie, forcing the duo to figure out exactly what the zombies want, since Billy has no brain. The Real Ghostbusters loosely parodied George A. Romero's classic zombie flick Night of the Living Dead in their 1987 episode Dairy Farm. The Ghostbusters decide to take a vacation after several long months of busting and head off to Ray's cousin Sam's dairy farm in the countryside. But their vacation is cut short after they discover the long-dead previous owners of the farm are rising from their graves every night to toil the land and don't appreciate these newcomers. The Ghostbusters investigate and conclude that the farm was owned by the same family, the Petersons, for 10 generations and were all buried on the property. But their graves have since been desecrated and 10 generations of undead Petersons rise from the grave each night only to disappear at sunrise. After consulting the Big Book of Occult Lore, Egon theorizes that the Petersons were experiencing chronometric reversal, aggravated by non-urban repetition, which meant that in life they were farmers who got up at the crack of dawn, but their undead state reversed that pattern. With too many of the zombie farmers to trap, Sam and the Ghostbusters need to find a way to appease them in the hopes they will leave the dairy farm once and for all. The episode was originally entitled Dairy Farm of the Living Dead and features a number of references to the film Night of the Living Dead. Courage the Cowardly Dog featured an undead film director in the episode Everyone Wants to Direct, when a famous film director, Benton Tarantella, arrives at the Baggs family home, which he decides is the perfect location to film a zombie flick, The Return of the Zombies from Beneath the Farm. Filming soon begins in their basement, but unbeknownst to the couple, Tarantella is actually a zombie, and his true intent is to resurrect his dead partner, Errol von Folkheim, who is buried under the farmhouse, and then devour Muriel with Folkheim's help. The film script turns out to actually be instructions for the resurrection ritual. It's once again up to Courage to disrupt this diabolical plan and save his oblivious owners from the danger that they are completely unaware of. Let us know in the comments which famous real-life film director you think Benton Tarantella is supposed to be a parody of. And this list wouldn't be complete without Scooby-Doo zombies. And so to round this list off, we're featuring not a cartoon but a feature-length animated film, the 1998 classic Scooby-Doo on Zombie Island. At the beginning of the film, Daphne reveals that the members of Mystery Incorporated have gone their separate ways, except for Fred, who assists her with a new reality show. When the gang reunites for Daphne's birthday, they embark on a trip to New Orleans in search of real ghosts, led by a mysterious young woman named Lena, who claims that the ghost of Morgan Moonscar haunts her island. As they explore the island, they encounter supernatural phenomena, including werecats, a mysterious fog, and a horde of rising zombies, ultimately leading them to discover a dark curse tied to Lena and the plantation owner, Simone. The gang must confront these numerous ghouls and unravel the truth about the island's haunted history to escape the perilous situation they found themselves in. Scooby-Doo on Zombie Island was well received at the time and was successful enough to spawn a sequel movie in 2019, Scooby-Doo Return to Zombie Island, while the original has remained one of the more popular of the Scooby-Doo television movies. Scooby-Doo on Zombie Island also broke with tradition and set a precedent for future films by featuring real, supernatural monsters instead of nefarious humans in disguise. And the film also felt like a bit of a reunion, seeing the gang together again after so many years apart. That's a wrap of my recommended cartoon zombie outbreaks for you to watch and enjoy this Halloween. As usual, I left out enough details as to not spoil the ending for you. And if you enjoyed this list, be sure to check out my similar recommended Halloween viewing lists featuring classic haunted houses, witches, and Frankenstein's monster, seen in Saturday morning cartoons. I'll also be back soon with another video in time for Halloween, this time featuring a topic requested by you, the viewers, so please keep those requests coming in. And until next time, thank you for watching, hit the like button if you enjoyed this video, and subscribe to stay tuned for more cartoon history.